It was a quiet night on Earth. The streets were almost empty, and the air felt cold and heavy. A human boy named Adam walked home alone after a long day. The lights of the houses around him flickered, and the sky above was full of strange, dark clouds. He pulled his jacket tighter, but still he felt something strange in the air. It was not only the cold, it was something else, something that made his heart beat faster. Adam had always been curious. He liked walking at night, he liked the silence. But tonight felt different. Tonight the silence was not peaceful, it was heavy. It was the kind of silence that comes before something dangerous. He looked around again and again, but there was nothing, no cars, no people, not even a dog barking. It was as if the whole town was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Then he saw it, a sudden flash in the sky. It was not lightning, it was not a shooting star. It was something else. A strange green and silver light cut through the clouds and crashed into the forest nearby. The ground shook under Adam's feet, and a loud echo rolled through the night. For a moment he froze, his heart racing, his body telling him to run home, but his curiosity was stronger. He whispered to himself, "What was that?" And he moved towards the forest. The deeper he walked, the darker it became. The trees stood tall like silent guards, their shadows long and twisted. The air smelled strange, like burning metal mixed with smoke. He followed the glowing trail on the ground until he reached a small clearing. And there, in the middle of the broken trees, he saw something that made him forget how to breathe. It was not a rock, it was not a plane, it was a pod, a shining alien pod. Its surface was broken, sparks came out, and strange symbols glowed faintly on its side, and lying next to it, half hidden under broken branches, was a girl. But she was not like any human girl he had ever seen. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes were large and bright, glowing like stars. Her hair shimmered faint blue under the moonlight. She looked weak, wounded, and afraid. Adam stepped closer, slowly, carefully. The girl opened her eyes and looked at him, and for a moment he felt as if she could see into his soul. Her lips moved, but the words were not English still. Adam understood one thing, that she was asking for help. Before he could say anything, before he could touch her hand, the forest around them changed. The shadows grew darker, thicker, as if alive. From those shadows something moved. Something came closer. A shape, tall and thin, its body made of crawling darkness. Two glowing red eyes opened in the dark, and Adam felt his blood turn cold. The alien girl's eyes widened in terror. She whispered a single word, trembling. "Predator." The shadow predator stepped into the clearing. Its claws long and sharp, it moved with silence, but every step felt like thunder in Adam's chest. He had never seen anything like it, never imagined such a monster could exist. The creature was not of this world. It was darkness given life. Its body shifted like smoke. Its claws gleamed like metal, and its mouth opened wide, full of jagged teeth dripping with black liquid. Adam wanted to run, but the girl looked at him again. Weak and scared, he could not leave her. He could not let that thing kill her. Even though he was just a boy, even though he had no weapon. He stood in front of her, his legs shaking. His hands clenched into fists. The predator growled, a sound that made the trees tremble, then it lunged, its claws striking down at Adam. He ducked. He grabbed a broken branch from the ground. He swung it with all his strength. Hitting the creature's arm, it barely slowed. But it gave him a moment to push the girl away. The predator roared and struck again, faster. This time its claw cut across Adam's arm, sharp and deep. Pain burned through him, and he cried out. But he did not fall. He stood again, ready to fight. The girl shouted something in her strange language. A small device on her wrist glowed, and a flash of blue light hit the predator. The creature screamed in anger, its form flickering like smoke in the wind. For a moment it stumbled back, then melted into the shadows and vanished. The forest fell silent again, but Adam knew it was not gone forever. It would return, and next time it would not fail. Adam dropped to his knees, holding his arm. The wound burned. But it was more than just pain. Dark veins spread from the bite, moving under his skin. His vision blurred, his body trembled, he felt something crawling inside him. The girl looked at him with fear and sadness. She whispered in a soft voice, "You are not safe anymore." Adam's heart pounded. He looked at his arm, at the strange black veins spreading across his body. He was bitten, and he knew his life would never be the same again. The night was only the beginning, and the real danger had just started. Adam woke up in his bed, sweat covering his face. his heart beating too fast. For a moment he thought it was a dream. The forest, the light, the alien girl, the monster made of shadows. But then he looked at his arm, and the truth hit him harder than the pain itself. The bite was still there, but it was no longer a normal wound. It was dark. The veins around it had turned black, spreading slowly like ink under glass. Every time his heart beat, the veins pulsed, and a sharp sting ran through his whole body. He pulled down his sleeve quickly, but even that did not hide the feeling. It was alive, the wound was alive, and something was growing inside him. Adam stood in front of the mirror. Breathing hard, his reflection looked strange. Pale, almost sick, he leaned closer, and for a second he saw something impossible. His eyes flickered just for a blink. Not brown, not human, but glowing, faint and dark. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, this can't be real. But the truth was clear. He was changing. He tried to calm himself, tried to act normal. He opened the window, letting the cool night air in, but the whispers began. They were soft at first, like faraway voices, but slowly they grew louder. Strange words. Words that made no sense. He covered his ears, but the voices were not outside. They were inside his head, inside his blood. Then a knock on the window made him jump. He turned quickly, and there she was, in the alien girl. Her silver skin glowed faintly in the moonlight, and her star-like eyes were full of worry. She looked weak, still hurt from the crash, but she had followed him. "Human," she whispered softly, "the predator. It bit you?" Adam nodded, his voice shaky. "What's happening to me? I can feel it inside. Like poison." The girl stepped into his room. Moving slowly, carefully, she touched his arm, and the black veins seemed to react. Moving faster under the skin, she pulled back quickly, fear flashing across her face. "It is not poison," she said, her voice low and heavy. "It is the shadow mark." Adam frowned, his head spinning. "What is that? Tell me." The girl looked at him with sadness, as if she already knew the answer would hurt. "The predator is not only a beast. It is a weapon of my people's enemy, the Shadow King," she explained. "When it bites, it does not only wound, it leaves a mark, a dark seed. It grows inside the blood, it changes the body. Soon you will feel power, but also hunger. Hunger for the shadow." Adam stared at her, his heart sinking. "So you're saying I'm becoming like that thing?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, unless you fight it, but few ever do." The voices inside Adam's head grew louder, as if mocking him. He shook his head hard, trying to silence them. "No, I'm not a monster, I'm not," he shouted. But even as he said the words, his reflection in the mirror flickered again. His shadow behind him moved differently, as if it had a life of its own. The alien girl touched his shoulder gently. "Listen to me, you are human, and that makes you different. The Shadow King will come when he learns a human carries the mark. He will not allow it, because if you survive, you could become something greater than even his own kind." Adam's chest tightened, fear mixing with anger. He did not understand everything, but he understood one thing. His life was no longer his own. The bite had changed him, and now an alien king wanted him dead. Suddenly, lights flashed outside. Adam rushed to the window, and his stomach turned cold. Strange figures were moving in the street, tall, thin, covered in black armor that seemed to melt into the dark. They were searching, scanning, their red eyes glowing like fire. "They are here," the alien girl whispered. "The king's hunters." Adam's blood boiled, his arm burning with pain. But along with the pain came strength. Strange new strength. His body felt faster, sharper, as if the shadows themselves were feeding him. He clenched his fist, and for a second his hand seemed to blur, black claws flickering into shape before vanishing. He gasped, staring at his own hand. The girl looked at him with both fear and hope. "It has begun," she whispered. The hunters moved closer, their voices cold and metallic. Adam felt the shadows around the room grow thicker. He grabbed the girl's hand. "We have to run." Together they slipped out through the back, the night swallowing them, but Adam knew it would not be enough. The hunters would not stop, the predator would return, and the king would decide his fate. As they ran into the darkness, Adam felt the whispers again. But this time one of them was clear, almost like it came from his own mouth. It said, "You are mine now." Adam's heart raced faster, his body burning. He was no longer just a boy. He was something else, something caught between light and shadow, and the real fight for his soul had only just begun. The night was no longer silent. The streets of Adam's town were filled with strange shadows moving like hunters. Red eyes glowed in the distance, scanning every corner, searching every street. The king's soldiers had arrived, and they were not human. They were made of part flesh, part shadow, twisted creatures born only to track and kill. Adam hid behind an old brick wall with the alien girl at his side. Her breathing was weak, her steps heavy, but her eyes never left the glowing hunters. "They will not stop," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Once the king sends his soldiers, they follow until the prey is gone, and now, you are also the prey." Adam clenched his fist, looking at the black veins on his arm. He could still feel the burning from the predator's bite. But along with the pain came something else. Strength, speed, a strange power that whispered to him. He hated it, yet in this moment he needed it. The soldiers spread out, their armor dripping with shadow as if alive. One of them stopped, sniffing the air like a wolf. Its head turned sharply toward Adam's hiding place. The alien girl gripped his arm tightly. "They smell the mark inside you," she said. "We must move now." They ran into the narrow streets, their footsteps echoing. The girl's silver glow made her easy to track, so Adam pulled her into the darker paths. Behind them, the soldiers let out inhuman cries. Half mechanical, half monstrous, the chase had begun. Adam's legs moved faster than ever before. It felt unnatural, as if his body was lighter. He jumped over a tall fence that should have been impossible for him. When he landed, he realized the shadows around his feet had helped him. They rose like hands, pushing him higher, guiding him forward. The alien girl stared at him in shock, but there was no time to speak. The hunters were already climbing after them. They rushed into the forest, branches snapping under their speed. Adam could hear the soldiers behind, not running but gliding, their forms melting into the trees, reappearing closer with every second. "They are faster," the girl gasped. "If we don't reach cover, they will take us." Adam looked around, searching. Then he saw an old abandoned cabin deeper in the woods. "Inside," he shouted, pulling her toward it. They crashed through the broken door, dust flying everywhere. Adam pushed her behind a wall while he looked for something to fight with. All he found was a rusty axe leaning in the corner. He grabbed it, his hands shaking, his mind screaming that this was useless. The first soldier entered, its body crawling with black mist, its red eyes locked on Adam, and its mouth stretched into a horrible grin. Adam raised the axe, but before he could swing, the shadow inside him moved, his arm twisted, and black claws shot out from his hand. The axe dropped to the ground with a loud clang. For a moment, Adam stared at his own hand. Horrified and amazed, the claws were part of him, sharp and strong. The soldier lunged, but Adam moved faster than he thought possible. His clawed hand slashed through the soldier's chest. The creature screamed, its body flickering like smoke. It stumbled back, then dissolved into mist, vanishing into the dark. The alien girl's eyes widened. You used the shadow against them." Adam fell to his knees, his chest rising and falling quickly. He wanted to feel proud, but instead, he felt fear. The voice inside his head laughed softly. "Good, you are learning." But there was no time to stop. More soldiers broke through the walls. Their claws scraping the wood, Adam grabbed the girl's hand again. Pulling her through the back window, they ran once more, deeper into the forest. The night seemed endless, every shadow watching them, every sound chasing them. At last they reached a cliffside overlooking the river. The hunters were close, their cries echoing through the trees. Adam looked at the girl. "We have no choice," she nodded, understanding before he even finished. Together they jumped, crashing into the cold river below. The current dragged them, spinning them under the water. Adam fought to keep the girl above, his body burning with both fear and power. When they finally crawled onto the muddy riverbank, the forest was quiet again, but Adam knew it was only for now. The soldiers would never stop, not until the king himself decided what to do with the human boy carrying the mark. The girl shivered, her voice soft but heavy with meaning. "You saved me again, but you must see the truth. This is not only my war anymore. It is yours too. The king knows about you, and he will not let a human live with shadow inside. Soon he will send more than hunters. Soon, he will come himself." Adam looked at his shaking hands, the black veins still crawling under his skin. The claws had disappeared, but he could still feel them waiting. He whispered to himself, "What am I becoming?" The girl looked at him with both fear and hope. "You are becoming a weapon the king fears," she said. "But whether you remain human, or fall to the shadow. That choice is yours. Adam stared into the dark forest. He could still hear the faint growls of the soldiers hunting in the distance. He knew the chase was not over, it was only the beginning. The night sky above Earth was no longer calm. Dark clouds twisted unnaturally, hiding the stars, and in between those clouds, something vast appeared. A colossal ship made of black metal and living shadow hovered in silence. It was not a human ship, it was something older, heavier. It was the throne ship of the Shadow King. Adam and the alien girl stood on the riverbank, their clothes wet, their breath short. They both looked up, fear pressing down on them like a mountain. The girl's eyes widened. "He has come," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. "The king himself has left his throne. Do you understand what that means? He never moves unless the prey is worth it." Adam's heart raced. He was just a boy, but somehow he had become the reason an alien king crossed the stars. The bite on his arm burned hotter than fire. Every time he looked at it, the dark veins seemed to crawl faster, as if excited by the king's presence. The whispers in his head grew louder, clearer. "He is here. He will judge you. You belong to him now." Suddenly, a booming voice filled the air, echoing across the forest. It was deep, powerful, and inhuman. But somehow Adam understood every word. The king was speaking, not with sound, but with shadow itself. "Human, the mark is inside you. The predator chose you. You are mine now. Come to me, or I will burn your world." The alien girl grabbed Adam's arm, her hand trembling. "No, don't listen. He lies, he always lies." But Adam could feel the king's voice inside his chest, shaking him, tempting him. Images filled his mind, fire raining down on Earth, cities destroyed, his family crying out for him. The king's voice whispered again, softer now, almost kind. "One step toward me and I spare them. One refusal and I destroy everything you love." Adam fell to his knees, his head spinning. He wanted to scream, he wanted to run, but he could not escape the voice. The alien girl knelt beside him, holding his face with both hands. "Listen to me, Adam," she said firmly, her starry eyes glowing with desperate hope. "My people once faced him too. He offers mercy, but it is always a trap. If you go, you will not save Earth, you will lose yourself." But Adam's veins burned. His eyes flickered dark again. He felt the shadows in his blood pulling him, pushing him toward the sky. His human side fought, but his predator side hungered. The whispers laughed inside him. "Say yes. Bow to him. You are already half ours." Then the ground shook violently from the sky. A massive beam of shadow light shot down into the forest. The trees turned to ash, the air trembled, and when the light faded, a figure stood there, tall, terrible, cloaked in living darkness. His crown was not made of gold, but of writhing shadow fire. His eyes glowed like dying suns. The Shadow King had come down himself. Adam could barely breathe. The king's presence was overwhelming, heavier than the world itself. Every shadow bent toward him. Every creature in the forest fell silent. The girl's body shook. She could not even look directly at him, but Adam, though afraid, was drawn to him. The mark inside him pulled like chains. Dragging him closer, the king stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp like a blade. "Look at you, small, weak, human, yet the predator chose you. A boy of Earth now holds the darkness in his blood. Do you understand what you are?" Adam forced himself to speak, his voice breaking. "I'm not your weapon. I'm not your slave." The king tilted his head, amused. "Bravery. I like that. But your courage is wasted. You will serve whether you wish it or not, because your world will beg me to take you when they see what you are becoming." The alien girl stepped between them, her voice trembling but strong. "You will not take him. He is not yours." The king looked at her, his laugh rumbling through the ground. "Ah, the little princess. Still running, still hiding. You brought this boy into my shadow, and now he will pay the price for your defiance." The king raised his hand, and the ground cracked open. Dozens of shadow soldiers crawled out, their claws sharp, their eyes glowing red. Adam's body shook, fear and anger boiling together. His claws flickered into existence again. His veins pulsed black. He stood in front of the girl, his human voice loud and desperate. "If you want me, then fight me, but leave her alone." The king's smile widened. "Good, show me your strength. Show me if a human can truly resist the shadow." The soldiers attacked, and Adam fought with everything he had. The shadows inside him gave him speed, strength, claws sharp enough to tear through armor. But every strike pulled him deeper into the darkness. Every scream of an enemy killed made the whispers louder in his head. The king watched in silence, his glowing eyes studying the boy like a predator testing prey. When the last soldier fell, Adam dropped to his knees. Gasping for breath, his hands shook, his claws dripped with black mist. He looked up at the king, his voice hoarse. "Is that what you wanted? Is this your judgment?" The king stepped closer, his shadow spreading across the ground like a sea. "Yes, and now I have decided you are dangerous, human, too dangerous to be ignored. You will either become my greatest weapon, or you will be destroyed." Adam felt his heart pound. For the first time, the king had spoken of him not as prey, but as a threat, and in that moment, Adam understood the truth. The Shadow King feared him, feared what a human with the mark might become. But fear was dangerous, because it meant the king would never stop until he owned him, or killed him. The night ended not with peace, but with a promise. The king had judged the boy, and his judgment was war. The forest was quiet again, but Adam's heart was not. The fight with the Shadow King's soldiers had left his body trembling, not only from exhaustion, but from something deeper, something darker. Every time he closed his eyes, he could still feel the claws in his hands. He could still hear the whispers laughing inside his mind. And worst of all, he had liked the power. The alien princess sat by the fire they built in a cave. Her silver skin reflected the flames, her glowing eyes fixed on Adam. She had wrapped her arm with cloth, hiding her wounds, but her face showed more worry for him than for herself. "You fought well," she said softly, "but the shadow inside you grows stronger. Each battle feeds it. Each kill makes it harder to resist." Adam stared at the flames, his hands clenched tightly. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. "I didn't want any of it. But if I don't use it, I'll die, and you'll die too." The princess looked at him, sadness in her voice. "That is how it begins, human. That is how the king takes his victims. He offers survival, he offers power, and before they realize, they are his forever." Adam looked up at her sharply, his eyes flashing dark for a second. "Do you think I'm already his?" She lowered her head, unable to answer. Her silence cut him deeper than any claw. That night, Adam tried to sleep, but the whispers grew louder. They twisted into voices of people he loved. His mother, his father, his friends. They begged him, they accused him. "You are changing. You are dangerous. You will hurt us." He woke up drenched in sweat, his claws out again, and to his horror, he had slashed the wall of the cave in his sleep. The princess stirred, her eyes widening when she saw him. Her hand moved slowly to the small device on her wrist. Ready to defend herself, Adam froze, the claws still out, his chest rising and falling like a beast. "Wait, I didn't mean to," he whispered. "It's not me, it's the shadow." But the princess's eyes were filled with fear. "Adam, you are losing control," she whispered back. And for the first time, he saw doubt in her gaze. Not doubt of the king, not doubt of the hunters, but doubt of him. The following day, they traveled through the ruins of an old city. The streets were cracked, the buildings broken. Long abandoned, Adam stayed quiet. Walking ahead, the princess followed behind. Keeping a distance now, it hurt him, more than the burning veins in his arm. He wanted to shout that he was still human, but the truth echoed in his heart. Was he? As night fell, they took shelter inside what was once a library. Dusty books lay scattered, torn pages floating in the air. The princess lit a small blue flame with her wrist device, and for a moment the place felt peaceful. But peace never lasted, not for them. The shadows moved again. Stretching unnaturally, Adam turned quickly, his claws flickering out without command. But there was no predator this time, no soldiers. It was only him, his own shadow twisting against the wall. It rose tall, larger than his body, its eyes glowing red, and then it smiled. A wicked grin Adam did not make. The princess gasped, stepping back. The shadow whispered from the wall, "You don't need her. You don't need anyone, only me." Adam roared, swinging his claws at the wall, tearing through stone, but the shadow did not vanish, it only laughed. The princess grabbed his arm, shouting, "Stop! You're destroying yourself!" Adam's chest heaved, the claws glowing with black mist. For a second, he turned toward her, his eyes no longer brown. They were dark, glowing. Predator's eyes. The princess froze, her face pale with shock. "Adam," she whispered, You almost struck me." The claws retracted suddenly, Adam stumbling back, horrified. No, I would never." He stammered, but the damage was done and the trust between them cracked. The princess's voice shook as she spoke. You are becoming one of them. The king does not even need to kill you. He only needs to wait until you betray yourself and betray me. Adam's heart ached, his chest heavy with guilt. But before he could answer, a loud crash broke the moment. The ceiling of the ruined library exploded as soldiers of shadow stormed in. They surrounded them, their red eyes burning. Adam tried to fight, but there were too many. The princess pushed him back, her voice breaking. Run! Save yourself! But Adam grabbed her hand, refusing to let go. No, not again. The soldiers moved faster, chains of shadow wrapping around the princess. She struggled, but the chains tightened. Dragging her toward the broken wall, Adam slashed at them, cutting one chain. But 3 more wrapped around her. She looked at him, her eyes filled with both fear and sorrow. Adam, they want me alive. They want to use me to bring you to the king. And before Adam could stop them, the shadows pulled her away into the night. Her scream echoed through the ruins, fading as the soldiers vanished with her. Adam fell to his knees, his hands clawing at the ground. The mark in his veins burned hotter than ever. The whispers in his head laughed louder. They took her. Because of you. You will never save her. Unless you embrace me completely. Tears filled Adam's eyes, his fists trembling. He shouted into the night, his voice breaking with rage. I will get her back. I don't care what it takes. But deep inside, a terrible fear grew. Because the more he used the shadow, the more he risked losing the one thing the king could never take by force, his humanity. The ruins were silent after the soldiers vanished with the princess. But Adam's heart was not silent, it was burning. He could still hear her scream echoing in his chest. The chains of shadow pulling her away. The look of fear in her starry eyes. And worse, the whispers inside him laughed. Feeding on his pain, she is gone because of you. But you can still take her back, if you give yourself to us completely. Adam slammed his fist into the broken ground, his claws cutting deep into the stone. Dust rose, blood dripped from his knuckles. He screamed at the sky, Enough! You will not control me. But the mark inside his veins pulsed harder, black veins glowing faintly under his skin. The more he resisted, the louder the voice became, until the air itself seemed to ripple with darkness. Then the forest around him twisted, the shadows gathered, swirling together into a single shape. A tall, monstrous figure stepped out, the predator itself, the same beast that had bitten him. Its eyes glowed red. Its mouth dripping with black liquid, it growled low. A sound like thunder rolling across the earth. Adam froze, his chest heavy. He had faced soldiers, he had fought shadows. But this was different. This was the original monster. The one that had started it all. The one that carried the king's curse in its bite. And now it had returned. The predator circled him slowly. Its body crawled with shadow, shifting like smoke and flesh together. It moved without sound. Yet every step made Adam's body tremble. The voice inside whispered again, Fight it, or join it. Either way, you are already ours. Adam's claws extended, longer and sharper than before. His breathing turned heavy. His eyes flickered between human brown and predator red. He stepped forward, his voice rough but defiant. You took her from me. You marked me. But I'm still human, and I will never be your slave. The predator roared, the sound shaking the trees. Then it charged, claws raised. Adam leapt to the side, faster than he thought possible. The creature's strike smashed through stone. Breaking the ruins like paper, Adam slashed back, his claws cutting across its chest. The predator stumbled, but only for a second. Its wound closed quickly, shadow knitting the flesh back together. Adam's heart sank. It was stronger than anything he had fought before. But he could not stop now, not with the princess in chains. He attacked again, his claws glowing black. Every strike felt more powerful, his body moving like shadow itself. But every strike also fed the darkness inside him. He could feel his humanity slipping with every blow. The predator fought back with fury. Its claws clashed against Adam's, sparks of shadow fire flying. They moved too fast for human eyes. The ground cracked under their battle. The air filled with growls and screams. Adam's arm was cut, his shoulder torn, but still he stood. His voice hoarse with rage. You will not win. I will never give in. The predator tilted its head, almost smiling. It spoke not with words, but with the same whispers in Adam's mind. You already belong to us. Every breath, every strike, proves it. For a moment, Adam faltered, his claws trembled, his vision blurred. He saw his reflection in the predator's eyes, not a boy. Not a human, but a creature of shadow, sharp and monstrous. Fear struck him deeper than the predator's claws ever could. What if the king was right? What if he was already lost? But then another voice cut through the darkness. It was faint but real. He heard the princess, her voice echoing in his memory. You are different. You are human. That is why he fears you. Adam's chest tightened. His eyes clearing, he remembered the fire in her gaze, the trust in her voice, and for the first time, he realized something important. The king did not fear the shadow. He feared the human heart that could resist it. Adam roared, his voice shaking the ruins. I am not yours. I am not your weapon. I am human. The predator lunged again, but this time Adam met it head on. His claws struck deep, not with hunger but with will. The shadows around him swirled violently, but instead of consuming him, they bent to his choice, his control. The predator screamed, its body splitting apart. Black mist poured from its chest, its form flickering. Adam pushed harder, his claws glowing with a strange mix of shadow and light. The beast roared one final time, then shattered into smoke. The darkness scattered into the night. Leaving only silence, Adam fell to his knees, gasping. His claws retracting. His body was weak, his veins still burning. But for the first time, the whispers were quiet. The predator was gone, defeated yet deep inside. Adam knew the battle was not over. The king still waited, and the mark was still inside him. He looked at the sky, his voice trembling but strong. I'm coming for you, and I will take her back. The shadows shifted slightly, as if listening, and in the distance, far above, the king sat on his throne of darkness, smiling, because for him, this was not defeat. This was only the beginning of the final test. The night sky was torn open by fire and shadow. Above the earth, the king's throne ship loomed larger than mountains. Its black surface shimmered with living mist. Each ripple of darkness felt like a heartbeat in the air. Adam stood on the ruined cliffs, his body bruised, his veins burning. But his heart was steady. The predator was gone. And now only one enemy remained. The king had the princess. Chains of shadow bound her to the throne high inside his ship. Her star-bright eyes dimmed with pain. Yet when she looked down at Adam, there was no fear in them. Only hope. Hope that he would come, hope that he would choose. Adam felt the pull of the mark stronger than ever. The veins in his arm glowed black. His claws flickered with shadow fire. Inside his head, the whispers screamed, Go to him, and kneel to him. You cannot win against the king. But Adam clenched his teeth, his voice low and sharp. No, this ends tonight. The air cracked as a beam of shadow light swallowed him. In an instant, Adam was pulled into the heart of the throne ship. He landed on black stone, the floor alive with crawling mist. All around him stood warriors of shadow, silent, watching. And at the far end, on a throne made of writhing darkness, sat the king. His crown burned with shadow flames. His eyes glowed like dying stars. The princess hung behind him, chains wrapped around her arms. Her voice weak but steady. Adam, don't give in. Whatever happens, don't lose yourself. The king raised one hand and silence filled the chamber. His voice thundered like a storm. Human boy, you have survived the predator. You have fought my soldiers. You carry my mark, yet you still resist. You stand before me now, broken and weak, and still you defy me. Why? Adam stepped forward, his claws flashing but his eyes clear. Because I'm not yours. I'm not your weapon. I'm not your monster. I'm human, the king laughed, the sound echoing like thunder on stone. Human, do you not see? That word means nothing. Your kind are fragile, short-lived, powerless, but with the shadow you can be more. I offer you eternity, strength beyond gods, bow to me, and you will rule worlds at my side. The whispers inside Adam's mind grew louder. They showed him visions, earth burning. His family crying, then earth rebuilt, with him standing as protector. The king's voice melted into the whispers, tempting him, accept me and you will save them all. Reject me and they die. Adam closed his eyes, his chest heavy. For a moment he almost believed. Almost, but then he remembered the princess's eyes. The trust she had shown him when no one else would. He remembered the predator's bite, the nights of fighting himself. And he realized something important. The king's promise of power was never about saving others. It was about control. Adam opened his eyes, his voice firm. I would rather stay human and die than live forever as your slave. The king's smile faded. For the first time, his eyes narrowed with true anger. Then you have chosen death. The chamber shook. The shadows rose like waves. The king stepped down from his throne, his cloak of darkness spreading across the floor. The soldiers cheered with growls and screeches. The final battle had begun. Adam roared, his claws igniting with both shadow and light. The mark inside him pulsed violently, but instead of giving in, he bent it, controlled it for the first time. The shadows obeyed him, not the king, he charged, colliding with the king in a storm of claws and fire. The throne room erupted with blasts of black energy. Stone cracked, soldiers were thrown back. The princess cried out as the chains around her rattled. The king struck with the weight of 1,000 storms. But Adam answered with the weight of a human heart. Every blow tested him. Every strike threatened to pull him into darkness. But Adam held on, not because of the power, but because of the choice he made, to fight as himself, not as the king's creature. The battle ended with one final strike. Adam's claws pierced through the king's cloak of shadow. Light burst from his hands, a mix of human will and predator strength. The king roared, his form shattering like glass. The throne shook, the chains around the princess breaking apart. The soldiers screamed, dissolving into mist. Silence followed. The king's broken form melted into shadow, his voice echoing faint. This is not the end. Human. One day the shadow inside you will rise again, and when it does, the universe will fear your name. Then he was gone. Leaving only darkness and silence, Adam fell to his knees, his claws retracting, his body weak. The princess ran to him, her hands glowing faint as she held his face. You did it. You truly did it, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Adam smiled faintly, his voice rough. No, we did it. But even as he spoke, he felt the mark still pulsing inside. The king was gone, but the shadow was not. It lived in him, waiting, whispering, and he knew the king was right about one thing. One day, he would have to decide again, would he save worlds or destroy them? The future was uncertain, but tonight Adam had made his choice, and his choice was human.